All right, guys, today let's make some of the weekend style melodies using Arturia's Analog Lab. Let's use it right inside of FL Studio. So Analog Lab is great for synth sounds, okay? So they built this pretty much off of retro synthesizers, okay? So if you're looking for real instruments, this might not be your go-to, but if you're looking for synthesized sounds, this might be it for you. So let's just open it up and go through some presets. They also have a library where you can sort via the instrument type, but for now, we're just gonna use the starting sounds, and we're at 120 BPM. Let's create a chord progression like this. Something like that, okay, for the weekend style. You guys will get the project files for free, so don't try to memorize this, but basically we're just playing suspended chords. Okay, and then we could okay, so now we have our chord progression. Let's look for more instruments here inside of Analog Lab. They had a pretty good bass right off the preset. So just arrowing through, it's a pretty good bass. So with the bass, I'm just gonna play octaves, fifth, playing the bass notes. So I believe we started. So we're just going down the keyboard, playing octaves here. Okay, so let's quantize that only because I got a little off track. So far, so good as far as like the sound selection. You really don't have to think too hard with Analog Lab. It's pretty straightforward so far. Now let's add a top line. So before we start confusing all this, let's separate this stuff into categories. So this will help you guys structure your melodies a lot better. Okay, so you have the top line. This is your memorable melody. You have the harmony section, which is your chords. Contrast, which is your bass line or counter melody. It adds density to the track. Then you have your rhythm section, which adds like the perception of time. You also have what are called the top line. These are the expression layers. Okay, so you have the top line expression, you have the harmony expression. So what does that mean? It may mean that you play the chords more animated or like pitch bends like this. I forgot that's a mono sound, so we're not going to be able to play it as a chord, but you might do, you know, for the contrast expression, you might do 808 slides, stuff like this. Even though this isn't a slide, we're just going down the scale. Stuff like that. Just stuff that's not the normal. Okay, and then you also have the rhythm expression layer. So whenever you need to expand your melody, you can categorize stuff in that way. This is an easier way to categorize sounds. A lot of people ask me what sounds are the right sounds because they don't understand the categories of the melody and the composition. Let's go to song mode. Let's quantize some of these chords only because we quantize that bass. So even with the default sounds here, it's pretty straightforward. Let's go here. We need to make this. For this beat, let's see what happens if we don't make these notes overlap, which creates more of a blurry sound. So again, we're using the default sounds. Let's go back to that first brass. It's a little bright. Let's see if we can quickly get rid of some of the brightness. This is basically the filter, low pass filter. See what happens with the timbre. So that's the resonance it sounds like. It's pretty cool. Let's add some chorus. So very quick movements here on the front panel instead of going inside the synth itself. If you ever wanted to go inside the synth, I believe we can go, let's see, in the library. Okay, so you have to go to the library, go to the Explore tab. It pulls up the preset and then you have to open up the actual plugin itself if you want to change out different things like the waveform. Let's make this more unique. Let's change some of the octaves here. Make it a little more melodic. Let's change the waveform to a pulse wave just to see what it sounds like. And we can set the envelope parameters here. So if you want to get geeky with tweaking the sound, you guys could do it here is my point. So this is more of a Drake sound with a hollow pulse wave approach. Let's turn this down a little bit. Let's go to the bass. Let's start messing with the bass. Let's add some more brightness. It needs a little more aggression, so let's see if we can add. Let's go to the actual plugin. Let's go to library, explore. So this is a Prophet 5 sound. Let's open up the Prophet 5. Let's see what we could do to change up some of the tone here. Let's make this a sawtooth. Let's see here with the filter. I'm just shaping some of that tone. Now we're getting a more clean tone as opposed to like this bitey tone. Take it off keyboard tracking. So again, if you want to tweak sounds, this you guys can always go inside the plugin is my point here. I don't want to focus on that too much. All right, now let's add our top line layer. Let's find another sound here. For like some kind of bell sound. Alright, so we can get away with this sound. So what I do love about Analog Lab is that they've changed the interface to give you guys presets right away that you could tweak. Before it used to be a little bit more convoluted, but they definitely updated the way you go through presets, which is very satisfying of a process. Let's add this in. One thing I want to change here is the pitch range. I don't know if we could do this. Let me see something here. So I'm not sure how to change this quickly, but we basically want Arturia to have a pitch range, so when we pitch bend our plugin, it actually responds. I don't know how to quickly change that. It doesn't seem to be an easy process, which is kind of a pet peeve of mine when you can't easily change a pitch range. Let me just quickly see before I just... So wherever it is not obvious. So let's see here. Pitch will... Yeah, so it's not looking, so that would be a workflow kind of killer. Let's see if we have to open up the actual plugin to do this. Yeah, so that's, so, okay. So here's a point that you guys might not understand until you get a MIDI controller. The fact that we can't pitch bend easily using Arturia is gonna hinder you guys' melody making using Analog Lab, at least with the settings that I have here, because pitch bends are like 99% of the sound. So when you can't pitch bend, at least on this sound, maybe it's this sound, let's not, because I see the pitch wheel moving, but it's not doing anything dramatic. And I need that to pitch bend pretty extremely. Now this one I hear it on. Maybe it's just that sample can't be pitch bent. So okay, so I stand corrected there. I guess it was that sample. Super weird though. Never seen that happen before. That could be because of the actual sound source though. All right, so let's try a different sound, even though I wanted the bell sound. Let's try it one more time, see why. Let's figure out this issue. Don't know what to tell you guys about that one. That's just one of those presets, I guess, that just doesn't pitch bend. So we have to settle for a different sound because we need the functionality over the sound. Now this one pitch bends almost like an octave, sounds like. So it's not a uniform experience here, which is kind of weird. Let's just try a different sound. See, that pitch bend is so important for this sound, that 80s sound. I hit the wrong note at the end, so let's fix that. So that's our top line. The top line has to mimic the human voice. We pitch bend, we go up in volume randomly, we have accent notes. So what I'm trying to do is when I talk, sometimes I go, I pitch bend. It's not just like I talk like this. It's a bending of tone. And that's why you guys' melody sounds stiff half the time. Let's see if we can find a bass that's similar to this. So in Omnisphere, they have a really unique feature where you can click on a preset and find a similar bass. I'm not sure if they have that same technique in Analog Lab. I don't think. I might be wrong though, so I don't want to say that it's a fact. Let's go to explore some bass. Let's try some different presets. I feel like the Moog fits better. So far, so good. Now we need something. Now the bass is both a contrast layer and a rhythm because it's it's keeping time. So that is actually two things in one: contrast and rhythm. This is the harmony section. Again, you guys will get the project files for free, so don't try to memorize everything. This is the top line. So now you're like, okay, where do I go? We already have the 4 layers. We could either change up the chords or change the instrument for the chords. Okay, those are the 2 main things. We could change the sound or we could change the musicality of each thing. So let's change the chords for the second half. Let's change the chords so that they have a different vibe, but in the same realm. So firstly, we play D minor. Okay, what happens if we start at the 5th of D, which is A? Okay, let's do that. Now, even on my good computer, Arturia CPU runs really, 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 really high. And this is a brand new computer, and it runs high on my laptop too. So that's one of the reasons why it's hard for me to 100% recommend Arturia stuff, because if your computer can't handle these plugins, you're gonna be running a high CPU. And this is off of one sound. So let's record that chord progression here, starting at A. All right, so we can end that however we want. So the bass matches kind of. Let's go back. Let's edit the bass so it's not as bright. And the cool part is you can do this right on the front panel here. And I believe you could automate these too. So if you move this, you can go to the browse parameter in the bottom, in the top left, go to browse parameters. And it says effects be dry wet. So that would be the knob we just moved. You can right click this and create an automation clip. So basically you can introduce distortion over time so that instead of adding more notes, you can simply use the contrast expression layer to pull up more distortion over time. So we basically have two different vibes, softer in the front and then more aggressive. And let's play a different top line. Really, this is more of a counter melody in my opinion, more than a top line, but so now we have that same slow kind of vibe for the top line added inside. I'm going to move this down to top line. Actually, let's just insert a channel here. Boom. I'm not going to overlap these because it'll mess up the pitch values there. Now we're just shaping the tone of each layer. So see, once you guys have these layered systems, it makes composing so much easier. So now we just need like ear candy type stuff. So here's a great point where we can just reinforce what we already have. No need to invent the wheel again. We can play the same thing on keys. We could play. Okay, so we could play it maybe a higher octave so the ear can perceive it. Countdown here. It's kind of hard to remember every chord I did, so I think we went. Let's record that. So this would be an expression layer of the harmony because now we're spreading out the notes. Then we got to do that second half where we started at A. So notice how music theory is helping me speed through this process because I'm not trying to figure out stuff. I already know what chords we played and how to revisit that. So that's why a lot of people need to learn theory. Not to be in a box, it's just so that you can recall stuff faster. So at the end, it's up for variable, how we end that. The only thing that really needs changing is the bass sound. I might redo the bass just to be simple, less rhythmic. All right, let's go back to the bass. Let's find a bass that this is very The Weeknd-ish. Let's play it more simple instead of doom 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 doom. Okay, let's just play. Also, I'm going to do double layered bass, so we're going to do 2 octaves to have that bitey sound. All right, so at the end, I kind of mixed the chords up a little bit. So that would be our contrast layer. Again, we're categorizing the function of a sound, not the sound type. The sound is cool, it just needs a little more touch up as far as like the tone. It needs really compression, but I'm changing little details so that you guys don't have to tweak all that. So I like this bass, it's just a little too, maybe it's the release tail on it. I guess that sounds decent, but I was trying to add, oh, maybe we don't have unison on. All right, each interface is a little bit tricky, so you got to relearn like a lot of stuff, especially with these Yamaha brands. They have very complex interfaces. So here I'm just trying to find, let's see if we could add a compressor in here, just something to tame that sound. I'm not hearing the. Okay, it says it's on, but I'm not hearing the compression. Oh, there we go. It just needs to be more tame. There we go. I also think this needs more unison, but I'm not sure how to activate unison on here. I assume this is the button for it, but here it is. There we go. That's the sound area. Okay, boom, got it. So that's more of The Weeknd when that creamier sound is a unison. That's the sound. Okay, so it took me a minute to find that button. Let's pull pull back some of the compression here just a little bit. So this sound would take like a lot of shaping, and I'm not going to sit here and sound design, but it does need a lot more shaping around those low mids. Let's see what happens if we drop back to only 1 octave instead of 2. Maybe that's the causation here. Let's do the opposite. Let's take out that bottom layer. Yes, it's not the same. Let's do 1 octave instead of 2, because I think it was just causing too much conflict. All right, that was a lot of sound design, but as you guys can see, if you learn these plugins, you can go in and tweak them in. So now for my next concept, I'm going to combine these, hit Control G. I like to right click and transpose these up and down 3 semitones. So let's do -3. Yeah, this is the key. It sounds the best. At the end, I might change that riff. Let's figure out that top line. This should be done. Alright, so that's how I do the final touch, and then you could also transpose it up 3 semitones from where we started. So let's do +6. So -3 + 6 is +3. So is the octave we were sitting in with the bass is too like ringy on the saturation on that bass. Yeah, it just sounded way better in this octave, this key. Now at this point, what I like to do is send all the sounds to the mixer, hit Control L. We're gonna open up a melody group. And then here's where I add my final touches. So right click, hit all your sounds, hit Control, left click and drag, right click, route to this track only. Let's open up Serum Effects. There's Serum, boom. Serum 2 effects, and let's go to the oscillator, turn on the noise oscillator, and then let's turn on what's called note latch. And now we could use different things like the filter. And we could use rhythmic filters, so it makes it so much easier. Let's slow this down. So now you guys can have different things happening. Just to add some motion to the melody. It might be clicking and popping, so you have to add the smooth here to get rid of any clicks. And then again, you can automate that effect so it doesn't have to go all the way through. But let's just play it one more time through. So let's automate this. All right, so that's how you guys do it. We'll go deeper with Analog Lab. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new. If you want to learn how to make beats like the pros, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. Peace out, guys. I'll leave a link below. Peace.